Right.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, we were talking about VS Code and setting up the Nim plugin. I dove into it a little bit last night, and I think some of the problem could be there were a couple of Nim suggest errors, and it's kind of annoying, but it was basically sig faulting, and so it just restarts it. So it starts up the Nim suggest, gets the autocomplete going, but it was crashing a whole bunch. There's a couple little tweaks in the Nim codecs, which I'll probably put in a PR for that seems to resolve that. Essentially, the compiler and the Nim suggest are slightly different in how they're handling one of the static things. So Nim has pretty powerful, the static evaluation context. But the downside is that sometimes, you can have compiler features or things that can kind of get in or broken, if the compiler can't run it properly in the VM. So I haven't had that happen too often, but obviously I think when you get projects as big as what we're dealing with, it seems to become more of an issue. So Thomas, can you maybe screen share and show me which plugin you're using?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share the screen. This button, the screen, and I will pick the screen, and I will move. Oh, hold on. Google Chrome might not have screen recording permission. Okay, I need to close the browser and reopen it again to have permission on the OS level. So I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay.
At some point, I think it would be nice to, from scratch, just spin up an empty VM and then go through all of the setup required to run codecs, because I think from a demoing perspective, sometimes it's difficult for people to just get it running and download a file, either between nodes on their own computers or
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really good idea. I've become a fan of that because a lot of times it's pretty nice just to hit screen record and run, just to play and be like, hey, figure this out, right? Or just follow this, right?
Yep, I'm a fan.
Okay, so I'm in the VS Code right now. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Right. So the extension I have installed. So I installed the extension, the official one, I think. This is the one.
Okay.
And this is the version.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the one that most people use now. It's not actually updated all too often. And all it really does is wrap around Nim suggest. So the probably how do I say this? Part of it is how it works, kind of getting some of the best mileage on it. By default, it will open and start trying to run each Nim file as its own program. And it parses it because Nim doesn't have the incremental compilation yet. So it is effectively every time you open it, it compiles the whole thing every time for that file. I was playing around with trying to set it up in project mode, where it will only go through the Codex app, but that also doesn't work as well for test and some other things. So I think probably let's check and see if you have it, if it's running. So can you hover over, like the stream bar there, and let's see, does it give us anything?
Okay.
Yeah, or pretty much any of the bars.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So yeah, it's probably dying, I imagine, or it hasn't loaded yet. So maybe.
Yeah. So I opened the like I googled a little bit like how to get logs from the extensions, and it says that I supposed to use like output and extension hosts like tabby here. I guess there are different output files, and yeah, as you see, there's like nim suggest here everywhere, and
Okay.
And I guess
yeah, if you go down to the end, it's saying closed with signal or code 139.
correct.
So I don't know what the code what that particular code is, but it sounds like it's crashing a lot, which can be a little bit frustrating. Nim suggest used to be worse. They've done with all the fixes in the 1.6 Nim releases. It's gotten a lot more stable. But I think the status code bases use a lot of templating, and so it tends to stress Nim suggest a little bit more. What I was playing around with yesterday was some ways to debug it. So if you go to the user settings in your VS Code, just go to settings. Yep. And then I would go to workspace settings, just override it for this workspace.
All right.
And then you can go down to extensions and find the Nim NimTM. Oh, on the left, I think there's a.
All right.
Yeah. Otherwise,
yeah, I don't see a name here.
Oh, that's weird. Maybe go to the user.
User extensions.
That's weird.
Interesting.
Maybe you have to reload.
Yeah, we can try with reloading. Yeah, interestingly, if I type nim, which is supposed to be a filter, there is nim configuration here.
Right.
And if I delete this, okay, now I have way more extensions.
Oh,
I guess I had something typed in right previously, like preview. Okay, because no, sorry.
I bet it was just like out of date, probably some VS Code glitch.
Yeah. Okay, nim configuration and workspace, right? Sorry, workspace.
Yep.
Nim configuration.
Oh yeah, in configuration there. I don't use the build and save. It probably wouldn't make sense for codecs. But keep scrolling down. The NimC is correct. What we could check is sometimes that's restart timeout, because it can take a little while to compile. You can tweak that if you want it to kill or run longer. Haven't needed that for a while, so I usually keep it like 60 or seems reasonable. Right now, I normally run it in the Nim suggest. I'm hoping that the Nim LSP thing gets a little bit better, because then we have a more standardized way to run it. But I think what I was looking for, maybe we missed it. Can you go up? There was like a verbose or a debugging option. Oh, Nim logs, Nim suggest, or log Nim suggest. Or down.
Maybe hold on. Nim will say place and string lint on save. Log nim suggest. Okay, this is it, right?
Yeah. So in this case, I found the best way to do it is to close VS Code and reopen it.
Okay.
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 That should help. And yeah, if you could open up a terminal now. Either VS Code terminal, whatever you prefer.
All right. I'm in.
Okay. So go ahead and how familiar are you with terminal? Like, are you familiar with grep?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. It's always like a fair question, right? Like some people are more Windows background, But if you do PS AUX and grep it and just search for nim suggest, I'm just kind of curious about the path it's using. Okay, so yeah, it's using So there are two problems. The first one is you can see it's using nimble bin nim suggest.
Yeah.
Which normally is fine, but because of all the template stuff that's used, particularly in the questionable, the results handling library, there was errors on the regular nim 1612. Doesn't seem to compile the code base. So if you go to the codex README real quick. Okay. So I found out it's a bit annoying, and I think there's a way we could probably simplify this in the future, but you got to do the whole make, update, make thing. And that actually installs a patched version of Nim compiler. It's like 1.6.12 or something like that.
Okay, I think I already did that. So make.
Yeah, if you already installed that, then I would actually cancel that and just do the source environment.sh.
Sorry. sh. Okay.
Okay. So that like sets up that environment, but the problem is that doesn't fix the nim suggest that the VS Code tries to run, because it tries to run it in the parenter.
All right. Yeah, I think So maybe I should supposed to set it somehow in the VS Code, like the path to the nimble dir or something, right?
I haven't found a way in VS Code itself to set it, but what I do is if you close the VS Code window, or actually probably close all the VS Code, and then what I do is I open up the Mac terminal, or whatever your favorite terminal is, right? Make sure you've sourced the environment, so you could check for the Nimbus, or
nimble dir, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you see it. It installs it to vendor code, and then the other important variable seems to be that Nimbus build make variable.
Nimbus build variable. So what am I supposed to set this variable to?
No, it's fine. I was just pointing out that when you do the environment, it also sets to that, which is another part of that build system thing. I think it just sets it to yes, and then it runs it. So I think if you type like which nim, it should point to the Nimbus build nim. So you can see here, it's now using this compiler.
Correct.
So now if we ran the, codex build, it would work. But what I do is I do code COD.
From this terminal, right? So it will inherit the variables from
exactly.
Okay.
Because I haven't found a way to set the path variable or modify the environment that it runs other than.
So the way that, for example, IntelliJ does it is that it reads the .profile variable, and in the profile I have this path to nim. But maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I should keep it in profile, and I will just maybe run code from this directory, because I don't want to set something system-wide that would be specific to the project. So I guess running code from here is a better solution. Okay.
I mean, for now, until we figure out a little bit more, or I think the patched version should be mainline. So hopefully we won't need it. Maybe the next NIM 1.6 release won't need. Won't need that special version. So, but you can check that is running. Yeah, if you go and start that, and then you go and you do ps grep for the again.
Sorry, a PS grep for nim. Okay.
PSAUX grep.
Sorry, grep. So there are still running some nim suggests. Maybe they are older instances of nim suggest.
I will do. Sometimes I do a kill all nim suggest, just to make sure they're all dead.
Okay.
Because it starts indexing all of the nim files it can find.
Okay. Maybe close this code again and. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
All right, there's no more nim suggest running.
Okay.
Right.
Alrighty. Let's see if that got it running the right.
Like to highlight a variable, or there's some error. Let me check. Okay, there is nim suggest running still.
Okay, great. And you can see it's running the API one.
Yeah.
So it should be running here. If you go back to the PSAUX, one thing I've been noticing is if you run it a couple of times and then check the PID, and let's see, it should be the same over a while. So that one was 46.
46, yeah, it's the same here, and this one is also the same.
Okay.
So okay, I think it's showing. Yeah, all right. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's can be kind of slow sometimes when you hit save, but I noticed it will also start indexing all of the stuff. So over time, it'll build up a little bit better system. And I think there's still some problems with nim suggest handling such a large project. Like it doesn't always do the autocomplete all that well. It'll like hover and tell you what the things are. And
awesome.
Control the go-to, I forget whatever it is. That's a big one, right? That's what
it's like I forgot as well F12, but I mean in my configuration is F12. I'm not sure if it's always F12 because it's really quite inconvenient like to hit such a distant button. But anyway, command click works, and that's also go to definition, and it resolved it, which is awesome.
Yeah, and then hovering over and finding the type is really great as well. So
and okay, if I will do command P, will it? I mean, it's supposed to. Sorry, not command. Okay, I forgot the shortcut. I'm not used to using VS Code in my daily job, so like I just wanted to get the list of parameters of the method.
I think control space maybe.
Control space.
Yeah, it's generally, so it looks like it's still thinking about life.
Yeah.
Hover over it again, maybe see, okay.
Yeah, it shows the parameters. That's awesome, actually. Pattern string, value string.
That's a right parameter. I would go back one and do it on the retrieve.
You mean like here?
Yeah.
Okay, retrieve.
There we go. That's correct.
All right.
Yeah, I was playing around with the nim suggest itself last night a little bit, and it definitely seems to struggle sometimes with the like figuring out the autocomplete. So if you do node dot, it should find retrieve or show you the list. But on the codex one, I think it's just too large, so it seems to struggle. And what it'll do is it'll default and just list. Once it is, it'll show it to you.
Okay.
Like the first few.
So what I did after dot is that I hit control space again. So now it does nothing, but I hit it Control Space, or maybe that's the default behavior of VS Code. I'm not sure because I'm not like experienced VS Code user. Retrieve. Okay, let me try again, but with just writing first few characters node. Okay, it works after a few characters as well. So maybe there's some lag to it, but that's fine. That's good enough, I think.
Yeah. So, and I think it might be a limitation in Nim suggest, because in smaller projects it works pretty well. But I think in larger ones that like has a limit or something that we're probably running into. So I might dig into that and see if I can put a PR up to be like, hey, work for massive files. But
awesome. So basically, the root cause was that, well, we had a different path to Nim suggest, which like basically is part of the Nim toolkit, and the Nim that is used in the project in the codex is patched with something. So right, as far as I understand.
Yep.
So the patch is like in our source code, or is it like that we are
yeah,
maybe?
Yeah.
It's in Vendor.
Yeah, and so the patch is in the Nim GitHub, but there's also a mirror that I believe Status has, Status Nim. It's under Nimbus build under here. So if you go to the vendor Nimbus build system, and the Nimbus build system has the basic stuff to build and set up whatever the tag version of the Nim compiler is. So if you look under vendor there again, a lot of vendors. Then you see that, okay, yeah, there's the patched Nim.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I was able to install the patched Nim version through ASDF, which is what I use to set up my Nim version. So it'll work with that if you get the right specific branch or git hash. So yeah, the odd even releases mean that it's like a development or in between. It's not like the official release. So it's patched 1.610. Also likely, we just missed whatever that was in 1.612.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, actually that's solved it, I think.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, thank you very much for it. It's actually going to make my job a lot easier because I was struggling for the last couple of days, with searching of every possible term, like what this definition means, stuff like that, using searches. Yeah,
that's super annoying. It's really nice to hit command click and go to, right?
Yeah, exactly. So so I think Ben is not here, and I think Ben is also struggling with this, and he's been struggling with this for like 3 months already.
Okay.
Because we did it a little bit earlier, and I know that he also has this problem. So yeah, I guess I will maybe sync with Ben next week, and I will share with him this knowledge. There might be some small issue because he's using Windows, and I'm not sure if there's not going to be some quirk that will Windows introduce, but yeah, we will see about that.
Okay, but like you said, there's VS Code probably has a way to set up a system variable or a path, or something, or maybe another way is you can install that specific version of Nim, and then it actually works fine as well. Well, actually, no, you need to set up the environment variables because the Nim path to all of the dependencies is also set as part of that. So it's not just the path to the Nim binary; it's also the path to all the dependencies used by Codex. But
Right.
I think there's some ways around that as well, some solutions. So, yeah, I'll put a note on Discord. I think, what channel do you think I should put that in?
What channel?
Just
Hold on.
mention it in private, and then just
Maybe.
Okay, I figure, yeah, private. Although I guess it wouldn't hurt public, if someone really wants to download
yeah,
and
true.
um,
Maybe development under the R&D category would work best then, or NIM tooling.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, NIM tooling
Yeah,
would be ideal. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. And definitely, if you run into other problems, let me know. And just for my own personal satisfaction, I might try to put in a issue in Nim suggest to be like, hey, support more variables, for big projects or something. I don't know why. But and then just note that it does open a new Nim suggest for every Nim window that you open, and it can take a few seconds on this project for it to load properly, which is a little bit frustrating. I'm sure there's things we can do to improve that, but
yeah, I've noticed that. I think it's not very optimal yet in terms of like use of resources, right? Because it starts the whole new process, which basically maybe it's not very optimal, because I guess it could cache some things, right? Because I think it's basically loses the context, and it goes probably like through the source tree again.
Yeah, and it goes through the whole source tree. And for smaller projects, it's fine. And I was playing with, there's a project mode for that Nim plugin in VS Code. And I was playing with it a little bit last night, but it was having some difficulty understanding the codecs project. So something I'll probably keep fiddling with until I figure out a good, hopefully it's something that's a little bit more stable, right? Because it'd be nice if it didn't lose that context every time. So, but yeah, no, hopefully that helps a little bit though. You're not in the dark ages, at least.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, yeah, it's changing a lot. So yeah, thank you very much. It will save me like probably like cumulatively like days of work. So yeah.
Hey, that's great. That's always a nice win. To be like, hey,
Awesome.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
pause the recording here, and yeah,